Alex. Give me more. Okay, cash at hand, that's the motto, that's the plan. Got a whole lot of loot, check my status, that's the brand. Boy, stop playing, money so long, broke them rubber bands in the jam. I'll be damned if I fuck with Uncle Sam. I be spazzing on the beat. I go thermal on them niggas, I'm absorbing all the heat. Oh, salty ass niggas be thinking that it's sweet. Oh, dusty ass niggas in the presence of the lead. Salute. Yeah, we looking for recruits. Join the squad, get you open, corner 3, 2, 1, shoot. Don't be scared, come prepared, and we keep you in the loop. Get you squared and prepared, and we accept you as a troop.
Yes. It's Mixsquadtv, and it's the podcast. This is the first episode of Mixsquadtv podcast, and we actually have a very special guest in our mix tonight. Illish, just as a boy, he was working alongside Prince, BB King amongst his top, getting counsel from Miles Davis, and yet we don't even know about him because he doesn't talk about himself. So that's why we have brought him on today. He's also responsible for writing chart-topping hits for many artists and household names, ghostwriting for Bruno Mars, and so we're just going to make sure we give him his space and his time to be able to share with us his experiences through his journey of music. Let's welcome to Mixsquadtv, Illish.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? How are you feeling?
I'm doing good, and you?
Doing well. I'm doing well. I'm glad to have you here. I know we kind of hit it off on Instagram, kind of just kindred spirits, kind of just, talking music, right? And love the conversations we had, and we'll continue to have. And so I'm sure this won't be the first time that we see your face here on Mixsquadtv. But just go ahead and, tell the masses about yourself and your experiences.
Started music at a young age. Learned to play about 10 different instruments. Got into mixing and mastering. I was an artist for a while. I did some ghostwriting for a lot of majors. Now I'm getting ready to run my own thing, do exactly what you're doing, and do it on a different level than just genre based, and more or less kind of what I offer instead of what the people want. I can offer them what they want. That's pretty much it, man. Is enjoying life and working my gift.
Wonderful. And so you took us through a little bit of your beginning, but what inspired you to pursue music in general?
Where I grew up, we didn't have much. So my friend went in his room, played do re mi on a piano. Once I heard that was it. I might have been 5 or 6. I didn't even know what a piano was. I'm like, what is that? He looked at me and was, you've never seen one? I have no clue what that is. I heard that, went home. I said, Mom, can you give me a piano? She got me like one of those used upright pianos, and that was it, man. I went from that instrument and wondered if I could master another. Of course, I still can't read music, but it's all good.
No, I mean, there's a lot of people who have had like certain challenges or what would be perceived as challenges, whether it's reading sheet music, being able to see, that there's been a lot of musicians and a lot of legends who traditionally would have something that we would call, say would hold them back, but they were just gifted.
Yeah, I did it was a songwriting contest for like a summer. I was thinking about going to Berkeley, and it was Winfred Marsalis was in the class, and he had everybody write something, and I told him, man, there'll be no way that I can write that. I said, I'm extremely dyslexic. So he said, just come up with what you can write up, put it down on your phone or something, let me hear it. So it happened to be pretty good in the class. He kept me after. I don't know if I did something wrong, but his exact words, he goes, I read sheet music, I understand the theory, but really, once you're looking at the sheet music and you're playing it, you're once removed from the thing that you're doing. So he said, so it's okay not to be able to do that with the way that you're going. Your approach is about the same. So that was a good motivation. And, starting me off, not that I didn't try to learn it, but being dyslexic, my brain it wasn't going to work.
Understood. Yeah. Can you share just about that? You mentioned the dyslexia. And for those who don't not as familiar with what that is, just kind of just share the challenges of what you deal with having that condition
Right,
and
right,
how that can affect people in general who have it with music.
right. So, yeah, reading was rough. If you told me to go left, I was going right. B and D was backwards,
Mm,
and I think it was seventh grade in music class, and we were all testing out different instruments, and I started to play what everyone else was playing. I grabbed the instrument and play it, and the teacher asked me, "Do you do music?" I go, "No, but I can hear it." And I wouldn't say it's a condition. I know that in the beginning they called it a learning disability. I'm not going to compare myself to anybody great, but Einstein had it, Nikolai
hmm.
Tesla, all these people have had it. It just really means that we learn and create in a different way. And in fact, NASA hires people that are dyslexic because the way their brain works it,
Yeah,
with different things. So, yeah, just the regular things as a young kid, peer pressure of thinking that you're stupid,
right,
all
right.
that stuff was brutal. So, I discovered music and it all went away, and it's just really the love for it, or more or less that music discovered me, and it saved me.
That's just great to hear. Just for anybody out there listening who
Right,
has experienced maybe not dyslexia, but other things that we as society would deem would could hold you back or that
right.
makes you different.
Uh-huh.
There's something out there for you. Like there's some individuals who have certain issues like paint, and it like it's an escape, and they can be as all over the place as they want to be because not everybody thinks linearly, right?
No,
Like
no.
sometimes we have conversations with people, or I'll have a conversation and somebody be like, man, he he's challenged or he's slow, and it's like, no, he's just, when he talks, we normally think of like one thing after another, but he's just grabbing from different
Right.
places. But if you really listen or take the time to listen, you'll get to understand that he's making perfectly good sense.
Right. Most of the times I look at that like those type of people that compartmentalize other people were born in a system. They weren't really taught how to live. 'Cause
Mm,
if you taught how to really live and look at life with no fear, you'd be able to accept something that's different. It's kind of like different music. Certain groups of people don't want to listen to rock, and people that listen to rock don't want to listen to certain music. I give you.
right.
I had a great example. I was coaching football inner city kids, and I asked them if they knew who Jimi Hendrix was. The same skin colors, and they had no clue. They go, "Yeah, that's that other folks' music." So I said, "All right,
Wow.
get in my car." So I played the music. They're listening. We don't want to hear that. I went on my phone. I typed Jimi Hendrix. The minute that they saw him, they froze. And I said, "So don't ever let anybody tell you you can't do anything, because this dude right here, for all those people that give you a hard time, they're listening to him." So again, part of the system. If we are taught to or grown up in a way where we can appreciate and have not really people skills, but not be so underdeveloped and just stick to what you believe, anybody that's different won't matter. You know, it won't
Yeah.
even matter. So it's more. I wouldn't blame. It's more like dyslexia is what it is, but it's really how we're all brought up to put people in those 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 lanes.
And that's like so true, as far as like that resonates with me, for real, just how
Mhm,
compartmentalized as a society we have become over the time that I've had my life, right? But
mhm.
just to move on through the music process really quick, can you tell us about just your process of writing music for yourself versus writing for others? How do you approach each one differently?
Um, well, when it was for majors, I'd do it if they want a pigtail on a donkey. That's what they'll get. So it doesn't matter for a major label sending me all this money. They'll tell me, like one artist you mentioned, they'll say, "Hey, we want that new jack. We understand that you grew up to Parliament. We'd like to we'd like to do some of that." So I don't really need to listen to the artist. I just give them what they want. If it's an independent artist, I'm better at talking and meeting the person as instead of being a car salesman. I got to feel who you are. I see in colors. You may move a certain way. That may create a beat for me. Uh,
Mm,
you
that's
may
deep.
you may say something that creates a lighter sound or a darker sound. So I try to take the person, and then for myself, it could be anything, man. I could hear a word, and that will just spark a whole song. I could hear a bass in my head, or I could be sleeping and then wake up and record that. So it's a multiple of different ways that it can be done. If it's not a major industry or commercial that's looking for certain things, then I got to stick to some. That's actually harder for me. That puts me in a box.
Mm, interesting. Do
Yeah.
you? I know we have a clip here that you had sent me just to kind of validate, the your experiences and whatnot. And you had sent me. It was an interview that was going on about your ghostwriting experiences.
Hmm.
And we're just going to take
Oh, sure, man.
a look at that real quick, and then just kind of have you expound upon that after we
Okay.
take a look into that. Let me bring that up real quick.
who really is managing, is also on the line with us. And he's playing on the keyboards. It's songwriter, vocalist, and musician who goes by the name Gabriel. And Gabriel is a prolific songwriter and a ghostwriter for many of the major, most prominent talents, who is currently working on a new CD under the management of Willie. And they both are joining me now. If you didn't hear, welcome to the show so much, Pepe, Willie, and Gabriel. Thank you both for joining me.
All
Oh,
right, so we're
Lord.
not going to actually take a list, like a listen to the entire
No.
video, but I did want to just bring that because I wanted to ask you specifically, like what the artist, because for those who don't know, G Illish is the Gabriel Blue that was mentioned in that
Yes, sir.
particular soundbite,
Mhm.
and what songs, or maybe not songs, but individuals within the industry were you ghostwriting for?
Anybody you can think of that's, let's see. I mentioned some names. I just won't mention the songs. We got Anthony Hamilton,
Mm,
uh, Belial. We're going back. Uh, the person that you mentioned, um, Chris Brown.
mm,
This, see, I'm safe. The whole let me explain about
yeah.
ghostwriting. When a person ghostwrites, all of your rights are stripped.
Mm,
So, and you have to sign a confidentiality. So if I mention things, everything I have can be taken away. In the other part, which we haven't got to, I'm trying to get back into this business because I stopped doing that. So I have to be very careful what I say. But anybody that's been in the top 10 for the last 10 years, pretty much I've been on top of that, whether it's R&B, rock, country, blues, uh, it's some like miscellaneous music, or some type of I don't know what they call it, a goth type of music. I can't remember the name, but
mm.
yeah, they'll get the songs. I've even worked all the way back to Evanescence.
Yeah, I don't even know
So
what that is.
yeah, and so that's what I've done. It wasn't a good experience. I didn't know any better. I just wanted the money, and it was rough. So once I had figured out I was just being used and my name is not going to be out. I'm going to be in the closet or whatever. I decided to, be brave enough to stop giving people my stuff
Mm,
and then put my money into my own thing and rebuild myself. But I have to be very careful. There is an article out about some of it. Um, I didn't write it. It's somebody that's in the business that has enough power to write it, and they kind of talk about it. That interview too. That guy is the one that discovered Prince, and for some reason he compares me to him. He says he has that it factor with his music and his writing. So um, there's another thing on my YouTube. Michael Bland, who's Prince's drummer, they also talk about all that stuff. And yeah, man. So
yeah.
that
I would say, that, well, I would ask you, would you recommend someone to get into that particular field?
um pretty much ghostwriting means that, hey, Cash, I'm going to take this is how deep music means to me, but they're going to take everything that you own, your family, your kids, we're going to put new clothes on them, new everything, give them to someone else, and we'll pay you once while we create them.
Mm,
So you ghostwriting, if you can, when you first come in, you don't really get to talk that much. You get what they give you. If you start to build up a catalog where they say, hey, this dude is making money, you can start to talk more. I didn't know much about money back then because it just came from such a poor existence. I just took what I was thrown, and then once I figured out that that's the wrong way to live. As a matter of fact, more than 90% of the people, artists that are on the radio that people think write their own stuff, don't.
Mm.
And that's a fact. I came up with, there was three of us. It was actually me, John Legend, and Neo, and oh my God, not the Hit Factory, but there's another studio in New York, and we all did the same thing.
Mm.
Well, they all started out as ghostwriters, and they chose to go to the artist route. I thought about it, but the music business is a filthy place. You really gotta want it so much more than you want to breathe in order to deal with all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's kind of, and to sum up like what the Mix Squad is actually trying to accomplish one day at a time is to give people who just have a passion for music and unique abilities to create music, whether that's an instrument with your vocals, whether it's creating beats. We just kind of want to give that space for the individuals to be able to get promoted, prop themselves up, and give you a space to where you're not around the vultures of the industry, but still have the ability to have a platform that if the masses like you, if people are drawn to your music, if they're drawn to the beats, they're going to find you. They're gonna, you're gonna build your catalog up. Are we gonna ever probably compete with the industry? No, but we still want to be a safe haven for those who love music the way you do and don't want to get caught into the trap of the industry.
Right. I think for what you guys are doing and the passion, I think if you manifest that you can do it, you can do it. I believe that you guys can compete because if you're writing good stuff and it's coming from a good place, those people that try to control people, they'll knock on your door. A good example would be Billie Eilish and a girl named Lana Del Rey. I had talked to Lana Del Rey. She's huge, and they had approached me and said, we don't promote music to radio. I'm like, how does that work?
Right.
And this girl, they told me to go look her up. She had like over 6 million followers. She didn't have a genre. Same thing with Billie Eilish. That team said, we just came out with our own stuff. They came to us. So it's really a matter of you can have a backbone and believe in what you're doing. You can change it. It's not easy. But we're at a point now where you don't have to go to a studio and someone has to own your masters. You can do this stuff at home and then find, great people like yourself who are helping those people. It can be done. It's just a matter of how it can be done. Because people told me, you're Native American, you're not black or white, you ain't gonna get a chance to do this or that, and that was a lie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you got the talent, you got the talent. And speaking of the talent, we're gonna actually transition from the writing aspect, the ghostwriting stuff, and really just take a listen to some work of yours, and then come back from there and kind of discuss just your unique sound and kind of how you carve out your sound. So let's take a listen here we're going to take a listen to Beautiful Girl, which has some notable spots from being #1 overseas and some articles that were written about the success of that song.
Right.
And so let's take a listen to that before we talk about it.
Don't you know you got me acting crazy? I can't believe the things you do to me. No one's ever made me feel hazy. Your body's past the point of being PG. Girl, you're like a bottle of sunshine, and I wish I could make you mine. You got a face that belongs in movies. I just wanna be one of your groupies. Hey, baby. Hey, beautiful girl. Lost in my mind, lost in your extensions of your body. The kind that plays tricks and whispers softly. You're the reason of jealousy and envy. I can see why everyone's hating on you. Girl, you know you're some kind of heartache. I'm not sure how much more I can take. That dip in your back has got me tripping. And that candy-coated personality. Hey, beautiful girl, I'm staring back now, lost in your world. I love the way you move, sexy and slow. This is when my heart loses control. 'Cause I'm addicted to the way that you move, accentuated lines in the way that you groove, yeah. I don't know what it is you do that makes me wanna get next to you. Hey, beautiful girl, I'm still in that mind, lost in your world. I love the way you move, sexy and slow. This is when my heart loses control.
Wow.
I appreciate it.
Wow. No, just as I'm listening, I have a lot of different thoughts because of I deal with the mixing, I deal with the production, I deal with being a vocalist. And just all the different ingredients that cook that one up. Like it gives me a feel from your upbringing, like from hanging around the Prince days, from all the different type of sounds that you're using, to the emotional rise you get once you get to the hook. You know what I mean? Because not saying that, there's always good music and there's like people that are using these practices, but like to take you from that kind of leading you up to that moment where things get big.
Hooks.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel that is, not a lost art, but it's not something that I hear as often as just that slow build, get you kind of invested and then hit you with the big ensemble of a hook. And so I wanted to get your thoughts, man. I really enjoyed that record. It brought me back to a time when I was a child, listening to my parents listen to their palette of music. It just brought me kind of like a nostalgia kind of feel, even though I feel like that song isn't that old.
No. I appreciate it, man. It's honor coming from you guys, because we got the mix squad in the house. You guys use your ears every day. You hear everything, so I appreciate it. It's just certain artists that my mother listened to. She listened to Sly and the Family Stone. The one thing that I caught from them is that they weren't afraid to add in every genre in their music. So if you notice, when the breakdown comes in, there's power chords on the guitar that's not usually used when you have R&B. The delivery and the vocals come from listening to the melodies and way people sing today, except for in the chorus, that's the old school stuff. And then you got this, I always liked watching the break dancers. You get this, that's from that scene, you all gonna laugh. What's that? Turbo Ozone. When he was dancing out, I don't know if you've seen it, but he was dancing out in front of the Breaking. Remember that movie Breaking? 1,000 years ago, and he was dancing, and there was a part, and I caught a clip online. I'm like, what is this? And there was a thing going. So I put that. I sampled my own voice and put that in there, and then the guitar is just. I mean, there was a Jackson 5, and that's all. That's all that is, and I just played that part. Bass line in the chorus is Latin. That's not normal. And then the beat is what it is. I played the drums and then I sampled the drums because the ear palette today has changed,
Right.
So yeah, I try to add in everything that is in my body, but I try to make sure that I make it work and give it space so that it's kind of like turning pages, like you were saying, and builds.
Yeah, it definitely builds, and just a lot of different sounds that were brought together and made work.
Right,
Because
right,
that's kind of what becomes the issue, is that a lot of people have a lot of these different sounds, a lot of different things that they have an idea of using, but fitting them together to make just them complement each other
right.
becomes the issue. When you have things that are supposed to sit in the same frequency ranges, certain
Right.
instruments that are not necessarily accompanied by other instruments. So I felt a lot of just the creativeness from just yourself, like, come out of that. And then you played most of those instruments, or all of those
Oh
instruments.
yeah, yeah. Anything that I've given you, I've actually gave you a clip from a commercial. Everything will be me, except the commercial will be that I sung the part to the two people there. But yeah, everything's pretty much me. I would tell people when they're writing their song or they're thinking about it, might work for different. It's different for all songwriters, but see your music as a friend you're making, and each one is different, but everybody says hello and shakes
Hmm.
hands. So there will be elements that are similar. Don't be afraid to put everything on the table in that one song. Just record it all and then scale back and look at it. Then the next part is, like the mix squad. That's when you've got to get in touch with people that have a really good ear and understand, you know, frequency. You,
Hmm.
you can't have maybe four or five different things living in a high frequency and say you want one of them to be the star. They
Right, right.
be separated somehow. There's a few rules, but as far as expression, and then at the same token, maybe someone someday will come up with something that they can do everything we say we don't think can be done, and it will sound good. I don't know. So
No, like, legit, like that, like, recently, Q the Music was, like, specifically asked, can you make a metal hip hop beat? Like, I want to mix those genres, and
yeah,
that's the sound I want. And she can't, like, she came up with it. Like,
yeah,
and so there's a lot of things that people are doing, palettes are changing, and that's similar to any society you have. Like, even when you go into the ancients, like the Greeks and stuff, like, they
yeah.
had a palette of certain type of art then,
Mhm.
certain type of music then. And as we develop and we get exposed, like right now, I just feel like we're in a time where we're exposed to so much so fast. It could
Right.
be a good thing, it could be a negative thing, but we all know it is what it is. But
Mhm.
my children, like, when I grew up, I wasn't exposed to some of the other genres that just wasn't around the individuals that I grew up with.
Right.
My children will, like, know about a lot of different stuff and a lot of different art and different genres of things, that because of the exposure of the internet and their ability to just have someone tell them about somebody, and then they can go
Yeah.
type in their name and go hear this rock song or hear this
Right.
pop song. And it's a good thing when it comes to that, as far as music, because I do feel like it's an art, and the more people are exposed to different art forms, they can find their space.
Right. Right. I think that's good too. And your children are lucky because you know how children pick up on things without you actually saying anything, so they can see and feel that your ear and your palate is open to everything. So subconsciously, even stuff that they haven't listened to, they will be
Right.
open to listen. So they'll be
That's
that
true.
much far ahead of where me and you might be at.
I hope so, man. I really do hope so. How do you stay inspired and maintain creativity when writing, for just writing for yourself or writing for anyone?
Um, I'm inspired because I don't know, it's a bad word to use. It's almost like being possessed. I can't. It's like the girl with the red shoes. I can't even take it off me. It just
Mm,
happens. The minute someone said we got you an artist, or like the commercial, for example, they're not really R&B. They're not church, but they want to do this thing, and like um, the other guy in your team. What is his name again?
audio
Yeah,
manipulator.
he said something that is very common of how people get in the industry and people, try to pull the wool over their eyes and do certain things. So that clip is actually about what he's talking about. So I
Hmm.
guess I get inspired by the majority of people and things that I hear and things that I see. I want to make sure that I relate. I remember talking to Cassidy, and he's a rapper, I think underground rapper, and he was telling me when I rap how I talk. I don't use extravagant words because how many times do you hear that in a conversation? So if I tell you uh, that's fresh, everybody's going to know what it is more times than not,
Right.
as opposed to saying exquisite. you know, so he was
Right.
telling me that his method of writing is exactly how he talks. So I think I try to be expired in a way. How can I take that idea in whatever I do, and maybe I've done some of it, and
Yeah.
make it so relatable that even if you don't like the music, you can relate to it because it'll be something you've heard or been through.
I definitely write how I talk, good, bad, or indifferent. Like it's just
Yeah.
I have to be authentic to how I speak.
Right.
It's just
Right.
gonna it's not I'm not gonna have the conviction when delivering that performance if it's truly something I wouldn't say.
Right. 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 I remember we had that conversation. That's when I knew you
Yeah,
was a good dude. For all your listeners, we was going at it. We weren't really going at it, but your passion came through.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. We
and
will
I
probably have some conversations that on air that
and go
resemble
there.
that because there was some good
People,
that
that's
was
the
wasted
stuff, man.
content, right?
People need like, oh, this I want to hear this because this they're not thinking now, they're feeling.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so
Actually, we're gonna kind of get into some of
yeah.
that where how you listen to music is pretty unique in itself. Like you don't really use your ears per se. Can you elaborate into that?
Uh, uh
I mean, I know you
it,
use your ears,
it's
but
like a
you
I hear it. It's kind of like if you smell food, you can kind of taste it. If I smell it, I know what it was made with. You know, I
mm,
know it, but as opposed to someone saying, "Ooh, that smells like a chocolate cake." Yeah, I know there was eggs in this thing because I read about it. They put the flour in there, but again, I'm dyslexic, so I might not have read that stuff.
right.
But I've experienced enough in life to say, now what's gonna hold that thing together? So
Mm,
now we're talking about a drum beat. What's gonna hold all it? Gotta be them eggs and that flour. So for me, I listen to music on a frequency level, and for me, for the listeners, when you can really feel, it's really hard to explain. There are
mm,
different levels of listening. You listen, you like it. You listen, you learn. But listen to it as far as frequencies. Those are the frequencies that create hooks, and those type of hooks are the things that keep people coming back to what you're doing. And that's a whole I gave a clinic on that. That's a whole long way to go about life. It's
mm.
like
I mean,
being
oftentimes through music or through whatever the passion is that you're into, there
Mhm,
are always lifelong lessons that could be learned. You
mhm.
know, like for me, whether it was going through playing football all the way through college, there was a lot of life lessons learned with camaraderie, teamwork,
Yeah,
working
man.
together as a unit. We're all 11 players on the field moving as one for one common goal. And there's just being coached up and stuff like that, you'll find like life lessons in
That's crazy.
most things if you're looking for
Yeah, I played football too. I actually coached. I coached
them.
for a while, and I used to tell my kids, hey, this game for a certain number of us is like life. I used to have kids that were afraid to tackle. I'm like, well, what are you afraid of? Well, he's bigger than me, coach. I said, yeah, but his legs can't punch you, can they? And then the light would go off like, oh, you mean just grab them legs? I go, absolutely. I had a kid, he was so scared. We were getting ready to make it to the playoffs. And you got you put the kids that are still trying to develop on the inside and become athletes.
Yeah,
So they don't play as much, but they go in and he goes in, he says, hey, I don't think I can stop this guy. I said, I'll tell you what. So frequency can relate to this. Angles. If he's coming here instead of going him, just go outside him. He's going to stop and think. He'll cut back in, and one of the other guys that are chasing will come and get him. So you don't have to make the tackle. Just don't let him get outside you. Be there first.
yeah,
So yeah, man,
yeah.
you're right. Life.
I
Yeah.
actually on a live the other day had made the analogy of coaching kids,
Mm,
and how we talk about having time on task with
right.
mixing and stuff and how just put in the work. But it's just like if you send your kids out there for practice and just put a ball out there and say, hey, put time on task, they're still not going to develop any specific skills.
Right.
They're just going to be out there scrimmaging.
Right.
So that's why we talk about joining the squad or coming a part of the, Mix Squad and stuff. Is on the engineering side, is because, yes, if you have 15 hours a week to really mix, you need a coach to kind of give you a directive on what skill sets you need to focus on, because you may need to focus on EQing when they, this person needs to focus on not oversaturating things. So it's just about getting a game plan for you. And so, just a little shameless plug.
Yeah, man. No, that's a good one
there.
And then not even that, then you got to explain what you mean when you say saturation.
Yes.
So some people, well, what does that mean? What does it do? Where do I use it? I'll get people like that, and I'll say the only rule that I have is if you send me stuff, I don't want it to distort unless it's going to distort and stop before we get to -6 or -3. You can do whatever you want. I've done some Dre. He used to distort all of his music.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how he did it, but he would distort all those beats and then pull them back down and then do some type of parallel compression, which was a whole nother world.
Right.
And then
we cover all of it.
Yeah. He could control that. So for me, it was like football too. Most of my kids they were very cocky because they were good every year. I said, at some point, you're going to meet a team like California. They don't have any snow in some areas. They've been doing this stuff all year round. If you're if you're over here in the East, you're getting snow, and then you're playing a different sport at some point. So the way I relate it is I would teach kids how to block using angles. If you hit somebody straight on, they can push forward. But if they're straight on and you're over here, there's nothing that they can do, which is equivalent to being deep enough to see the angles of music.
Like deep enough to understand that this particular vocal in the hook needs to have a certain space. So we need to roll off a lot of the low end, or just place it where we need to place it, and put, make sure that the angle is the correct angle for that particular song. So I definitely fully understand where you're headed with that. We're going to take another break and take a listen to Neo Soul, which was a track that you had sent, and we're just going to take a listen to this one.
I woke up this morning with the same thing on my mind. It's the same thing that's been there since last week in July.
Can't stop thinking about you.
How could I forget you, babe? Oh, I hope I never have to try. All the things we shared, every little thing we did, cross my heart and hope to die. Here it comes. It's just another Neo Soul joint playing on the radio. Just another Neo Soul joint, babe. To the back, to the front, to the middle, and to get you down in the middle of your soul. There's a hell of one inside. There's a hell of one inside. You can't know, babe. Let me tell you. It's just another Neo Soul joint playing on the radio. They say that time can heal all kind of things. Maybe this time will be better. But they don't know the deal. They surely don't know the joy you bring. Joy. I can't even go for a ride. I can't even go outside. It's the same, it's not. The flowers that I gave you for each and every day have all gone up and died. Let me hear the radio play. It's just another Neo Soul joint. Just another Neo Soul joint on the radio. To the back, to the front, to the middle, and she'll get you down deep in your soul, baby. There's a hell one inside. There's a hell one inside. Someone with skills like you. Just another Neo Soul joint playing on the radio. Don't try to Just another neo soul joint. It's just another neo soul joint playing on the radio. To the back, to the front, to the back.
I'm watching you the whole time.
Man, I'm into that, man. Like that's
appreciate
on my playlist now. Like I ain't gonna hold you up.
Appreciate it,
Like
bro.
I'm into music that make me feel like just make me feel.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm listening, it's a vibe. And then once you get me in a euphoric state where I stop really listening and I'm gone somewhere, that's when you've truly made a fan of me, is when I can get lost in your music and I'm not even really listening.
You in that quantum entanglement, that frequency.
I'm in that. I'm in there. I'm in there like swimwear, man. Like no, that one right there hit the soul, like neo soul. Like that one right there
Appreciate it.
had me at some point you did a run and it really just took me there. Like it really took me back to maybe some roots of upbringing or some really strong vocalists that could make you really get that emotional rise up out of you. So yeah, man.
I appreciate it, man.
Share us a little bit about that one and just how that came about.
That one, Alicia Keys had her own label at the time called My Brother's Keeper. Jeff Robinson ran it, and G Flowers was the producer. They wanted to sign me. This is it's not a good story, but I had brought this in, and I had two things I didn't like. One thing was they said, "Oh, neo soul, that's a bad word." So I knew the music industry right there was racist, and I'm talking to people that grow up to this stuff, telling me it's a bad word. So I'm like, "What do you mean?" "Oh yeah, you ain't gonna make it." So if we go forward today, we know about Jill Scott, we know about Anthony, but if I go to white people, they don't know.
Right,
And they're
Lauryn
not,
Hills.
and they're not on mainstream radio. I didn't like that. I was told to change that neo soul to something else. So I listened. And then the other thing is I was told by Jeff Robinson, well, we need a tag for you. I go, what's that mean? If we sign you, when you go on stage, you will say the guy version of Alicia Keys. I got up, I said, hell no. No. That ain't happening. So that song came. Other than that, the bad business part, it was just I love neo soul music. I wanted to write something that was a little bit more bluesy, and I wanted to give honor to BB King. All those runs, that's BB King. That's what I got to learn from him. And also Bone Thugs and Harmony, the part that goes to the back, to the front, to the middle.
Yeah.
I was listening to how
That's
they was
crazy how that I would have never
I know.
I would have never associated that to Bone Thugs, but wow.
But they do that, they do those type of
Yeah.
things. So I said, hey, let me throw that in there. Then when I say joy, I automatically think of church. So I did a church type of thing.
That's probably what grabbed me, because I had grew up in Baptist churches and whatnot. So there's always just this association to when a vocalist can really go there.
Right.
There's always this like, oh, like feeling that you get.
Right. And then that long run is just, I just wanted to showcase what I could do at a moment. I'm very laid back musically. Like when I write music, I'm not trying to really show off what I can do. I believe that I'll save that for live. If I do live stuff, then the audience will be, hey man, I love his records, but you go see him live. He does all this, other stuff that you don't get on the records. Other than that, man, it's just again, it's just my main thing is to always try to sound different. Those two songs are completely different, but the common thing is the singer. You can tell it's me because of the voice. If you remove the voice, you might not know.
Right. I know Q, the music is, being a vocalist herself and a songwriter herself, she's really big on backgrounds. Like super like detailed on how she wants the backgrounds to sit. And I know she enjoyed it. She may want to say it for herself. If not, it's cool. But she definitely, I'm sure she enjoyed those backgrounds.
They don't want to talk to me, man. They don't. I'm playing.
No, but no, I'm sure she enjoyed those backgrounds. She's really big into backgrounds and how background vocals gets blended together.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll
She gonna let you know. I'm telling you. She probably cooking or doing something for for the fam, but like she'll tell you. She gonna tell you.
I'll tell you what I did is that's a production and a mixing technique. Is what I did is I sang the backgrounds full voice, and then I sang them all again, whispered them.
Mm.
So I had two different tones, and as the song went on, I built it up. I put more in and I put more in, and I stacked it. I know someday people will sing the background once and then pan it, so it's
Right.
not even stacked. So I wanted to stack it, but I gave two different approaches: one full voice and one more like a whisper thing.
Man, it was blended very well, and that's one of the things that we talk about. We talk about the core 5 of mixing, EQ, panning, distortion / saturation.
Right.
We have the core 5 that we teach about, but we also talk about blending. Once you have the principles of these 5 things that you can do with mixing, how are you blending these textures together? And I really just enjoyed that blend. I would have asked you just kind of a fun question. If you could collaborate with any artist, whether they're from the past or current, who would that be and why?
Lord have mercy. One lady I met, she's still Shaka Khan. I got a chance to work with her when I work with Prince, and I can't even explain that voice. It's different it's different hearing our record and in front of her, and she plays the drums. And she's nasty. I would have loved to work with her. I would have loved to work with Fats Domino. My mama's time.
Right.
Walk into New Orleans. The way that they recorded music back then, it's very impressive compared to what's happening today.
That is true.
Yeah, we come up with all these spittle and Atmos and all this stuff, but they were doing all that without having all that stuff.
Right.
Maybe it was hooked to a wire, but it was still, so that would be, I would say more, I would like to go back in time in different eras and watch how they mix different artists and different things. There's an Aerosmith song that I know there's a lot of, I changed my mind. That group Queen.
Okay.
The Queen and the Gap Band. Outstanding. I would have loved to sit in the studio and watch them do Outstanding. That's one of my top 5 songs.
I gotta check it out.
You don't? But the Gap Band?
I gotta check it out, man.
Lord have mercy. I gotta go. That's it. You don't know Outstanding?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I didn't know the
Gap Band?
Right.
Charlie
I didn't
Wilson?
know who. I mean,
Come on,
you're
man.
gonna find out, unfortunately, man, that when it comes to like knowing the people who made these classic records, I'll know the record.
Yeah.
Because I've heard it.
Yeah.
Right. But or been at a barbecue or been at some type of family reunion, and that song, I've heard that song a million times. I didn't necessarily know who had made it.
It's ridiculous. Anybody that's mixing or write music, any of the stuff back in the past, no matter if you listen to it or not, if you get a chance to listen to it and listen to the stuff mixed and played today, total different word. They were bad back then. Half the people that play and do stuff, they couldn't make it back then. They're all digital and auto tune and maybe play a few notes and someone fix it. They had to actually play back then.
Right. There's a new plug-in now that takes your voice and plug it into a virtual instrument. So you don't even need the MIDI controller no more. You can just do, and that's snares.
That's horrible. Horrible. And that's the thing that got me out of the ghostwriting and stuff, is just how McDonaldized the music is. Like, you don't even, we live in a world where, when I was young, I went outside to play. Today, kids sit in their room and stay on their computer all day. They don't even know what the sun is like. So it's like there's an element of that frequency that gets missed from just living. It's the same thing in music. You got all these elements, and you ain't even outside. I'm gonna just sit here and live my
And
life.
that's true. I'll even confess, just to say, like, especially since like the COVID situation had was,
Yeah,
and we were all inside, right? I
right.
could tell just from the aftermath of that, that there was just a frequency change in just how people wanted to be out and
Yep.
wanted to connect and wanted
Yeah.
to get together. Like, it's been a struggle for all of us, not all of us, but in gaps, there's been people who are still just not like acclimated back to
Trying to
going
deal with it.
out
Yeah.
and being amongst people, because they introduced Zoom and introduced the way to kind of take care of everything you need remotely. I'm
Yeah.
a product of it, because, like, being someone who's doing, who's able to be home as much as I'm able to be home, I find
Right.
myself at home more than I am just getting out and being
Right.
amongst different people, which is a goal in 25 of mine, especially doing this music stuff, is to really just get back out and tapping in with the frequency and the vibration of other people in
Yeah.
this music space, because that resonates a lot better than internet interaction.
Right. The difference is for you and at Mix Squad is that you're using it, it's not using you. So there's a difference. When you had COVID, it scared people, but then we're already born with fear, and then you add that fear in, that can mess your mind up, and you may not want to do anything anymore. So it's a matter of just expression, realizing what you just said, and I mean, until we live in a synthetic world and everything is digital. I mean, it's scary, but they making food now with printers and houses, so it's like
Right.
I might be obsolete in a little bit. Like, oh,
Right.
we don't need no guitar. That's the one thing that irritates me. I'll get a guitar part. The guy says, female, I play the guitar. They'll play it on a keyboard, and I'll say, you do know that you can't voice a guitar that way. So that's not. I mean, it's just crazy. It's a lot of false things that people have in music that they think they can do because they have these great crutches, the
Right.
plugins, and I don't need to learn how to do this or that, and then if I play live, I can lip sync, or I can just play to a track. I mean,
And,
all
and it's very similar to the, what you have brought up as far as the McDonald's
yeah,
of everything, right? But what happens is that, like, yes, McDonald's is cookie cutter, but they serve billions
yeah,
daily.
right,
So, like, a part of the issue, to be honest, is the consumer, because the consumer is the one that's eating up this cookie cutter stuff,
yeah,
which makes those who make music, you know, more focused on getting it out, opposed to actually taking the time to make a masterpiece, because it's, the consumer is saying, hey, I don't really care if you do all of the extra, go
right.
above and beyond. I just want you to give me
Give
more of it.
Yeah, and we're taught that, and the save of it is people like you and I, where if you said McDonald's to most of the world, yeah, they would know where it is, but people can get sick off of that food. There's nothing
Hmm.
pretty much real about it. If you have a local restaurant in your area that everybody knows about, but it might cost a little bit more money, you know, the staff is driving in nice cars, the chefs, everybody is taken care of well. It happens to be a little bit more money because you want, organic, you want real stuff.
Yes,
So people like us have to keep the real part of music alive
because
because,
there are people who
yeah,
want some real music.
I've had people come to me, and I'm not knocking it, but someone said, "Hey, this is my song," and it was all AI. And I told them, I said, "That's AI. Can you send me something that sounds like you? Oh, well, can you take that and do something?" I said, no, I'm sorry, I can't. I don't do AI stuff. Bring me you,
Right.
and I can deal with that. So it's up to people like me and you to make sure that we're passing along. In my culture, we call it Mother Earth, passing it along.
Mm,
Give the person a real flower, not a fake one.
mm,
So that's
get
how I
it.
look at it. Yeah,
What's
man.
the story behind the name G Illish?
Oh, this is funny. So like I said, I'm dyslexic. I had talked to a few people in Billie Eilish camp, and I used to call her uh, Billie. I thought her last name was Illish, and they kept telling me
Mm.
that's not her name. I'm like, are you serious? That's not the name. Oh wow! I took it right at that moment. I said, I'm gonna put that in there because it used to be J Blue. J was a nickname, and Blue was a native name. And so I said G Illish. For me, Illish was kind of had that old school. Yo, that's ill and something.
Right,
It kind
right,
of sounded funky. It was nasty.
right, right,
So
right.
so I took it, but I got it because I made a mistake pronouncing her name right.
Mm. I mean, it's interesting. I actually, like it, like, because literally what you said as far as the ill part, that's
Yeah.
kind of what I got from it. It was like I'm the illest, right?
Yes, exactly. That's where I went. But yeah, it was because I made a mistake. And most of my music, sometimes I leave my mistakes in there. I
Mm,
had seen a recording of Thelonious Monk. Do you know who that is?
mm-mm.
Oh Lord, oh Lord.
Now
Q.
you gonna be upset at me over time because you're gonna be like,
Is
you
Q
don't
coming
know
in? Is
nothing.
anybody else coming in to help this out? Thelonious Monk. He was a jazz dude way before our time, and Kirk Johnson, Prince's friend, showed me a clip. He wanted me to see something. He said, "I want you to stay real. I don't want fake. We don't do fake in Minnesota." So the guy's playing, and one dude played a wrong note. The engineer stopped it, and then Thelonious said, "What'd you stop it for?" Oh, well, he played a wrong note. He goes, "No, if that's what he played, that's what's supposed to be." Then I'm like, ooh, that's kind of weird, but uh, okay. So sometimes I've adopted that and perfected the idea of trying to play the part so good that if it's a mistake, that's what it's supposed to be.
Mm.
That's weird, but
No, I get it because I have a friend of mine who literally talks about how some of the artists he listens to that sing, that their imperfections actually
yes,
is like a highlight to the music, and it's
that's the
like,
character to the voice. You know, and I'll have some people. Oh, I don't like that part I did. I said, no, no. I try to. I'll tell my singers, it's not about. It's not about how good the note is. I'm looking for the feel before the note.
mm,
That's what that people will hear you if that feel is good. As long as you're not tone deaf
yeah, now
and doing
that's
some
a great
crazy
point
stuff.
that I could actually help for myself when I do my singing performances, because
Uh,
oftentimes I'm internally focused on hitting the correct note and
right.
not as much as just getting the emotion out.
Yeah. The best way to do that is, there are two types of way to do music. Like I said, you can either hear it or you can feel it. So instead of thinking about it, just feel what you're doing. Let the best version of you come out
Mhm.
without saying that best has to be right.
Got you.
Because you never know what's right until it's done. I mean, I forget. I was a scientist who discovered. Oh, I forget what it was. Never mind, I ain't even gonna go there. But the best things come from just because it happens. You're not thinking about it. You go, oh man, can I do that again? Damn, that was good. So some of the best things can come from that. The guitar part in Neo Soul. That's just
Yeah,
one. That's one take through, and I left it. So, and if we went and we scaled it back, we'd hear some nasty stuff in between. But of course, the magic of understanding how to mix and remove
yeah.
stuff. But I just played that once, and that
Mm.
was it.
Well, man,
Uh,
I can't wait to take a listen to this next track. We got State. Was it
state
State
I'm
I'm?
in.
State I'm in.
Yeah, I'll explain that. That's
Yeah, 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 yeah.
now these songs really are throwaways for me, and not in the sense of that they're not good, but it's more or less I'm representing the mixes and the different styles. Like that first song was picked up by Music Supervisor. They're huge, and they'll pitch any artist that's in the country. They'll take the best songs and they'll pitch them to movies. So if people ever want to go to Music Supervisor, they're getting a free plug. You
Mm.
can put your stuff out. They happen to rate that song last year as one of the best ones, 0.9 or whatever. The state I'm in,
And what was that plug
music
again?
music supervisor, and that was the best song of last year that they put out that has made some movies. I think I don't know when the next there's three different movies that are coming out that are using them. One's a Marvel movie,
Mm.
and oh man, I'm getting dyslexic right now. I'm trying to remember. It's a comedian. He writes a lot of stuff. He does a lot of movies. What's his name? You got to know. He's huge. He's a huge.
Kevin Hart.
No, the other one. He's taller. Got his own company and everything. He does. Oh my God. Medea.
Oh,
Who's the dude
Tyler Perry.
Yes, he's taken a few songs. He really likes the stuff.
Mm,
And Stata, man, again, lyrically, I wanted to just so people know how to really search. My main thing is lyrically, it's okay to say the same thing because there's really not many ways that things can be said. But you could say the same thing, but put it together in a way that sounds new, even though
mm,
it feel the same words. So the state I'm in is really about a relationship where wherever this person is. That state they're in reminds them of that person.
mm,
So each line is talking about different places, but the person is remembering that person through each state.
mm.
So they got them in this state I'm in.
Hey,
Yeah.
I like it. I like the creative concept behind it already. I haven't even get the chance to hear it. So let's take a listen.
All right.
Kinda make me think of Vegas, saucing on you like you're famous, extravagant, yeah. Spicy like gumbo, French Quarter, Bourbon Street type of heat though, like Louis Armstrong. What a wonderful world. You got me in this state I'm in. Oh, you, oh, you got me in this state I'm in. Oh, you, where you been all my life? The state I'm in. Oh, you, oh, you got me in this state I'm in. Oh, you, where you been? You got me in this. Kinda make me think of Rio. Trip when you samba. I can be a sidekick, certified Romeo. Everything you do shines. First analogy like a neon sign in the Big Apple. Like Sinatra, you're what dreams are made of. Got me feeling like I'm 80 proof. In a city that doesn't sleep. Beaming like sun rays, skin like honey. Hair moving like palm trees and money. Your decor art deco, they gon' copy that. Iconic like South Beach, I got a taste for that. You're the magic in the city. You got me in the state I'm in. Oh, you, oh, you got me in the state I'm in. Oh, you, where you been all my life? The state I'm in. Oh, you, oh, you got me in the state I'm in. Oh, you, where you been? You got me in the up in the clouds, yeah. City of angels got me so high I can barely breathe. We can run it back, we can run it. Won't you say something now? I can't believe it. You got me in the state I'm in. Oh, you, oh, you got me in the state I'm in. Oh, you, where you been all my life? The state I'm in. Oh, you, oh, you got me in the state I'm in. Oh, you, where you been? You got me in this. Oh, you, oh, oh, you, where you been? Won't you say something now? Where you been? Where you been?
Got me in the state I'm in.
Come on now. You can get on that.
Man, I like I may not have. I don't know what I have, but I know I get into my own thoughts. Music,
Yeah.
takes me wherever it takes me, and the whole time I'm thinking, I'm like, I got some stuff for Gabriel. Like, I got some stuff. Man. You don't know I'm the feature king.
Come on now. That's cool, man. That's cool.
Man,
I like
another dope track.
Appreciate it.
Another just good overall feel, man. Like so far, even the neo soul track, even though it was more on the neo soul genre vibe, it still had a good feel to it. Like it made me feel good.
Right.
So far from what I'm hearing from you, like you do have a gift to uplift. Even if what you're saying, I'm sure you sing songs about sad stuff.
Yeah.
But so far, what I'm hearing is like this uplifting vibe, this uplifting vibration that comes from your vocals.
Hmm. Yeah, man. I have one called Dark Passenger, which is brutal. I thought about that one. That one was picked up for a second season of Dexter.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know Dexter.
that one's rough. That one's about that person inside all of us that when we do things, we harm people and we don't mean to.
Yeah,
So we got that I thought about that, but yeah, I want it to be um, more on the uplifting. It's funny because neo soul is the person is looking for that person, so they kind of
right.
they're just where are you? Like I woke up, I had the same thought I had last year. You know, nobody knows how good you are. So wherever you are, there's a sign in my window. You know, come
Just
back.
another neo soul song.
And then Beautiful Girl is really talking about someone without I don't the stuff that's out today is just so it, it's not a positive. I was trying to take superficial thoughts but make them a little deeper, you
Mm,
know? And because of the way we talk about people today, it's like it's one thing on the mind and it's always triple X, you know,
right.
everything you hear. And this one was just and my main thing is I actually have some people that rap. I said, listen, I want to try to, and I'm not a rapper. I wanted to write something that had a cadence of rapping, and I said certain things that were rapping. The line in the second verse, my first analogy, I asked one of my friends that rap, I go, hey, is that too much for the average listener? He goes, well, that's how rappers write.
Mm,
And he goes, first analogy, like a neon sign, because the other line was just, it was you're great like something, which I said that's obvious. Everybody says that. So I wanted to make it sound this person shines so much. So my first analogy, you're like a neon sign in the big city, you
mm,
know. So and the cadence was very. I was dealing with rap in that, and then I really loved I'm the funk and back in the day, man, the good stuff. Please tell me I'm gonna drill you one more. Roger Troutman, you gotta know. Oh Lord, hey Q, can somebody? Hey, you gotta help
they
this.
gotta save
Come on,
me.
man. How about talk box? You know what a talk box is?
Yeah, I know what it is.
So Roger Troutman, you never heard, "Hey lady, let me tell you why." Here we
Oh
go.
my God,
Get him,
bro.
get him, get him, audio, get him. I knew I get one of them to come sooner. Like, get him, man.
Oh my God.
And he's from California, so Roger Troutman is a staple.
Yes, indeed, man. King of auto tune.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
So
Yeah.
I had all of that stuff in mind. Like when I worked for the person you mentioned,
yeah.
I made sure I used that auto tune. But yeah, man, that song is just vibing the past. I was thinking about outstanding, but nobody could ever match that song. It is just some songs, and I wanted that type of vibe,
Yeah.
and that's where I went with it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, we've had 3 songs. We have one more to go, but before we get like, we're not gonna play that one yet. But
Yeah.
just so far, 3 different types of vibes, but they all, like you say, clearly, distinctively sound like you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. I try that. I think when people say, what genre do you have? Like, I don't have my genres. I don't have one unless you hear me singing it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
And I look for that personally because I'm very similar to if depending on what song you hear from me, you may think that I'm in a whole like that's what I do. Like if you hear one song, you may think that that's all the type of music I do. And you hear me singing and you may think that's all. And so I appreciate it because as being someone into music like that, like when I hear a beat, it really does just talk to me and I perform based on what I'm hearing from that piece of music.
Right, right. Something else I just thought of for people that are producing, and even some people that are mixing. Sometimes like you said, some artists can't explain what they're saying. But sometimes you hear what they're saying, and instead of worrying about what they're saying, just create it and see if they like it.
Hmm.
Like in that song, I did the rubber band effect, which is when you're a drummer, that where that kick, where that snare hits, you pull it off the beat, so it kind of makes your head snap. Boom.
Hmm.
So when I was mixing that and editing it, instead of having it right on the 1, 2, 3, 4. I pulled it back a little so that when it went 1, 2, 3, 4, it was kind of off.
Hmm.
And that actually something that creates that
Kind of like
that
a swing.
yeah, it creates that funk. Now we're gonna teach you about funk right now. Okay.
Yeah.
There we
Hey,
go.
man, teach.
So I got to meet one of the Funketeers, Bootsy Collins, and
I know him.
Yeah. Okay. Thank God. Flashlight.
I know.
Okay. That's the funkiest song in the land. So I asked her, I said, well, how do you get what's funk for you? And it's all over the internet. The one. He says, I gotta come back to the one. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, I was just about to mention Parliament in them.
Yeah, man. And you come
Man.
right back. He said, always come back to the one. So most of the tracks, I use some elements that are way back, but I would really advise people this. I don't see too many people creating anything new. And the best way today that I know to create new is listen to all the stuff before there was stuff before that stuff.
Yeah.
Pull it forward and see what you can do, with it and create something brand new. So many elements that I put in different stuff, but they're subtleties. And I think how you're portraying what you're hearing is validation that there's a feel that's happening because I'm creating all these little hooks and these little things that you really can't hear, but they make you feel a certain way.
All of them together.
Yeah.
Can you walk through, like, if you have a certain creative process when you're writing and recording? Do you have any like habits or ways you get into the zone?
Well, yeah, this is gonna be typical, but yeah, when I'm mixing, I listen to that kick and that bass.
Right.
That's the first thing I do, and I know some people don't, but I do. One thing I do different that I learned in Minnesota about funk is I'll give this free technique to people is when you have a bass and you record it, which me and you talked about, you make 2 copies of it. And to validate that I deal with frequency, I'll take it, make 2 copies. Now what I've done is taken that and I'll use it for every music. And actually I'll use it for everything. And I'll take those 3 parts that I have and mix them by frequency. One will be just all the lows, one will be all the mids, and one will be all the highs. And obviously separate, they don't sound good. But through that, like I said, if you take old stuff and make it new, I took that old thing and said, wow, I wonder if I can do that with a guitar, acoustic guitar. So I'll take the guitar, I'll make 2 copies. I'll do one that's panned really wide. I'll do just the highs, and then I'll do 2 that are panned 50 from here and all the lows. So I've noticed that, wow, this is all about frequency.
Yeah.
If we're really paying attention to it. So I'll do that with pretty much everything I do. And it really depends. Sometimes I'll come up with a funky bass line. I'll hear a word. It's very hard for me to sit at a piano and then look at it. Okay, I want something. So I have to I just have to go to it and see what happens. If I start thinking about it, it won't happen for me.
Right. Got you. Man, we got one more track here, and then we're gonna. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
didn't mean to interrupt. So this is for audio. This is an angry song. This is pretty much the middle finger to the industry. So
I like those tracks too.
And it's short though. It's just a clip. I'm not allowed to play the whole thing. So I just got the clip.
So we'll talk a little bit more about it after we listen to it. Actually, all right, let's take a listen.
Are you kidding me? I'm getting sick of the industry. I've had enough of the make-believe. Oh please, am I lost or found? I'm getting sick of the ups and downs. No need to give me the runaround. I'm out.
This shit's gonna kill me, but I won't let it. And I try to give them hell, but they don't get it. So I tell myself when I sleep at night, don't lose sight, baby, don't lose sight. And they try to give me up, but I won't give it. And this life will get you down, but I keep living. So I tell myself when I sleep at night, don't lose sight, baby, don't lose sight.
Yeah. All 4 hits to me.
I appreciate it, man.
Nah, for real. You got some talent, man.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying to keep up with you guys.
No, man, we just trying to continue to have people like yourself
I
on
appreciate
here
it,
to
man.
be able to just share with us your experiences and what you've gone through and just building, right? And not a lot of people in this world value building with each other anymore, and that's
Very
what we
true.
value here at Mix Squad. It's just building each other up, especially when you have like undeniable talent, and there's not enough people who are just willing to just give you that shine and say that compared to people that would rather just hate on you and
Yeah.
oh man, that he ain't going nowhere with that, like
Yeah.
because they simply fear the alternative, which is that you will get your
Right.
recognition because
Right.
they can't compete with it.
And that's what got me to you guys when you hit me up and said, "Wow, there's very few people that have the passion to want to share stuff. If we had more people like this, the whole music industry would be different. But
Facts.
then at the same time, maybe all four of us would have never met. So maybe now is the
Right.
time to change it to get to that. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I wholeheartedly feel the same way. Is there a reason why that can't be played? Like is there some type of
Oh,
like issue with playing it or something?
you want to go? Oh, because then it gets into the copyrights and the points, and it's not being
Mm,
streamed through. It was picked up by a computer
I heard it in
company,
a
and it,
commercial.
yeah, there you go. And it's
Mhm.
okay.
not
That's my
making money.
favorite
It's not.
song.
Yeah, it's not making money. So you can't play it because you've signed a contract that this is for us. It's
Got
kind of
you.
like if you were an athlete and they said, "Hey, on the off season, we're signing. You can't do nothing
You
else.
can't do nothing. There
Don't
was
even
actually a athlete who I knew personally who wanted to play just a standard pickup game,
can't do
right?
it."
And he did, and he had got like a large portion of his contract revoked because he had broke a bone playing a regular pickup game, but
Yeah.
that was against what he was supposed to be able to do.
Right. And they'll even go so far as if you assigned here, then if someone comes up and says, "Hey, we want you to wear Nikes, but you're Adidas," and you try to do that, you can. And then if we give you a sneaker that we've given you and you wear another one that we didn't authorize to give you, then you have to pay us for that, or we take away what you have. So that those contracts, when you're dealing with major people, they could care less about who you are. This is the way it is, and this is how we want it. If you're gonna play it, it has to be from a commercial standpoint. Go on YouTube and find the commercial and stuff. But I'm not here to promote that company,
Right,
you
right. I
know.
understand.
So
I
yeah. So
understand.
I had to learn the industry the hard way, but it's very slick. Audio knows what I'm talking about. They're very slick. They'll throw you a lot of stuff too just to get that dirt on you so they can control you.
Mhm.
They do
Yeah.
crazy. I have a story that's probably not good for this show, but it's absolute. It was Sylvia Rome was going to sign me. It's the craziest thing, and a lot of stuff.
If you're willing to share, we willing to listen.
Man, it's too crazy for this.
Okay.
We be getting into the what people call the Illuminati and
Hey
Diddy
man,
stuff.
air it out. Air it out.
Oh man, I can't. They, my main thing now is I'm trying to get back to where I got. If I start talking, then I know
I
people
get it. I
send
get
me.
it.
And
I
it's not.
get it.
Yeah, it's not fear, but it's like, hey, you were in this industry. You were all the way at a certain point. Now you're gonna start talking about us, but you want to get back in the industry. Well, we'll make sure at some point you don't. You know.
I get it.
So,
I
but
get
on off camera,
it.
you won't even. It's the craziest thing that's ever happened. I definitely it made me a spiritual person.
Mm.
It was wild.
So for anybody out there that just could at least slightly read between the lines, you know, like there's plenty out there that you can find that talks about things that does happen within the music industry. And so he's not specifically saying what, but like you've heard stories, you've heard things that go on that they, you know, do a certain control narratives, put it that way.
Always. I'll give you one, and can be said. A long time ago, when music first started, you had Beethoven, Bach, Chopin. All that stuff was done in 440. That's the frequency. I'm sorry, in 432.
Okay.
When the planet moves, it's the same frequency, and that's in the square root of pi.
Mm.
That's in any sacred geometry, and people can say, "Oh, this is all that new age stuff." No, it's just science. I'm just using science because the powers that be that run stuff understand how to manipulate. Like there's no such thing as addiction. When you eat that McDonald's, there are certain chemicals in there that talk to certain things in your body that make you want it again. So they create
Mm.
addiction. Now, before I tell what I'm going to say, it's like midwives that came over from the Caribbeans and stuff, and they had all these herbs and they were healing people. Then somebody decided to call them witches because they wanted to control that stuff. So the word witch is negative. It automatically sends something to the person that hears it. They become fearful, and so we've been created in a fearful world long.
Right.
And I've
All while Walgreens has
yes, yeah,
a spoon, like a bowl and a little witch
yeah,
thing, and that's
yes,
go get your pharmaceuticals from the witch,
right,
basically. But they don't want to
right.
use that word because they know that they
That's
created
right.
that word as a negative
So,
connotation.
now, how do you control that is the question. So you control it if you can, because we have free will. If you can speak enough obscenities to a person, and they don't have to be bad words, but they have to hit the spirit in a way where it's not positive.
Mm.
They hear something enough, they become sensitized to it, start to believe that. And then it becomes in their free will, and whatever else exists comes in there and helps it, pushes it along.
Mm.
So today, all the music that we listen to is in 440. It's an artificial frequency. Real music is supposed to be listened to in 432, but somebody changed it to 440. If people looked up that frequency, they would know that that contributes to the inner stress level of the body. If someone
Wow.
doesn't believe me, take a glass of water, and if you're going to go to a science school, even a high school, hook it up to something and start speaking obscenities to it, and the crystals will get dark, as opposed to you saying something nice. Take digital music and take music that was recorded back before they changed the frequency, and you will see the
I
same
used to
thing.
tell
So
people that. They used to look at me crazy.
yeah, I sat with the Bone Thugs and Harmony. They was, you know, we were both surprised that we knew this stuff. There's
Mm.
one
Yeah.
of them does an interview about it. He talks about it. 432. Yeah, Rakim, one of
Okay.
the first person who created the 16 bars. So I got to meet him in Minnesota, and he was talking about that. I'm like, damn. So there are a lot of people that are aware about it,
Mhm.
but they just won't talk about it. But we're controlled on a frequency
You
level.
put me on a path to go study
I'm
because I like
telling you,
that
man.
type of stuff, man. Like I do.
If once you understand the beast and how it works, you can work against it, but it's very hard because if you're anything that comes from your intellect can be prideful at that moment and then change what you do. And you have to be humble. You have to realize that you can't call out people. It's kind of like what in the Bible when I don't know, somebody I forget what all the people wanted to throw stones at Mary Magdalene. And you know
Right.
what God said? If we went further back with that same thing, like in America they teach something bad about it. But if people looked up the Merovingians, the kings and queens in France, they would see that there's actual scripture that was taken out of the Bible and that this woman was an actual prophet. She wasn't that. So how do you control a female? You tell them crazy stuff
Right.
their whole life,
Oh, this
and that's
person
what
was a prostitute, but she
yeah.
was a prophet.
So if she was a prostitute, why and the key here is people aren't really paying attention, but that's how the power works.
Right.
They're paying attention to the word she was a prostitute instead of the word let he cast the first stone that's free of sin. Why? Because most people don't really believe in that. They just were taught to believe in that, but
Right.
they believe the bad stuff because the world shows them the bad stuff. You
Yeah,
believe, and that's how it goes. You know.
man. It like I love I love to get deep into the weeds, man, just because like that's like I'm an intellectual individual
Yeah.
that actually wants to strive toward knowing as much truth as I can in my
Yeah.
lifetime,
Mhm.
regardless of what that truth may be. Like you say, you do have to try to put down preconceived notions, things that you were only believing because you were taught to
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
But it is hard. And so for any individual out there that is like, maybe stuck in the confine of a certain construct of thought, sometimes it is your best thing that you can do is to put it down and just question everything. Go
Right.
on a journey to just find out things and let things stand out in truth as they are. and just to open yourself up to being able to learn different things that may be different than what you were taught in the past, because we are a society that just passes down information that we don't even really know is true or not. We
Yeah.
just passing it down.
Yeah. And the best way to deal with that is, if you do music, that's the place to manifest that thought. How do you mix it? How do you master it? How do you use buses? Do you use FX channels? Learn to express yourself in a way where you're not afraid to, and don't take what everybody's telling you, because you might come up with something that nobody's seen before. But because we're in a bubble, we're taught to do we're taught to mix a certain way, we're taught to think a certain way. So the one thing that God gives you is music. You should take that and let that be the beginning of your change. It sounds strange. It's like love, man. If you walk down the street and tell someone you hate him, he gonna take that and hate somebody else. If you
Right.
tell somebody
And
you love,
music has been like super instrumental in societies, from
yeah,
battle cries where
it's
you literally
huge.
are like going into a war while you have a drum line,
Yeah,
or some trumpeters.
yeah,
But like, they don't have weapons. They are literally the ensemble bringing, setting the vibration of
yep,
the army to get into that mode where they may not come back today.
right. There's
Talk some of the ancient wars that we hear, they
yeah.
really would sound the trumpet.
Right. I'm related to the Anasazi, and that's the first civilization in what they call the United States. First of all, you can't discover a place where people are at, but they give it that
Right.
that's a franchise name.
Uh,
So the
I'm gonna go to
Anasazi,
your backyard and plant a flag. It's mine.
yeah. So the Anasazi, they would build these round rooms made of stone to capture all the frequency. And what you just said, that's how they would begin to go to war, is that they would play drums and they would get that going. People don't understand, if they really looked up how they move stones and things. I'm bringing up nothing, I'm just saying without saying. Frequency can move things if you understand how it works. But we're taught to need things. We're taught, if you get sick, you got to go to the hospital. Well, you can't figure out how to help yourself that way. We're taught, if you break something, you got to do this and that. Like my mom had a bad fall, and they immediately tried to hire her a nutritionist. And I said, well, I brought her home and I said, if you allow me to teach you about pro and prebiotics with your gut, if your gut is right, everything in your body will change. And that's exactly what it did. I had a friend had MS, man, and all the bumps on her back went away. And the doctor didn't like that. He called me, well, I could sue you. I said, no, I just gave her a guideline. But I said, why would you sue somebody for trying to help somebody? So, and it's the same thing in
And
music.
like, you're tapping into stuff that I know is true. Like
Yeah.
I've witnessed be true as
Yeah.
far as medicine and freak. So put it this way, if you could have frequencies that the government are using to
Bingo.
torture people,
Yeah.
you would assume that there is a counter to that. If they could use, so there was a study where they was pumping like 0 hertz into the headphones, and the obviously we can't hear that sub frequency.
You can feel it.
But over a half an hour, everybody with the headphones on was vomiting.
Yeah.
Because of the vibrations was causing discomfort. So if the government can figure out ways to use frequency to torture or to cause harm, you would have to agree that there's a counter to the evil.
Oh, always. And that's
that there's a good things that can come from certain vibrations.
So like for people that have been in the business, like you was saying to me, word for her is like, don't ever let people make you give up your music or things that you've been through, because it can help you. And the one thing that music is it's the change. It's the change that's needed. That if you believe in God, or without getting churchy, like, I forgot what I was gonna say because I was getting so deep in it now. It's like music, the way that they have taken the frequencies of music and made us believe that we are actually hearing something that's total to the DNA is amazing. Because we hear music today, we love it. Imagine if I told you, hey, well, you can run real fast where it feels like flying, but imagine if you could fly. And then the person goes, I can't fly. So the equivalent is you're hearing your music at 440, you're running. It feels like you're flying, but imagine if you heard it in 432. What type of connection you would get? Like
Right.
gospel music, you hear the word, you're not getting the full word, except for the same thing. Well, even music that's meant to harm people,
Yeah.
the way that those people work is there are certain words that are old and mean certain things, like the word rock and roll. That's an occultic word,
Mm.
and it works certain things. And it's all, again, all music is based off of frequency. And so what you said is that's what I do when I mix and master. I am thinking and feeling frequency. I don't care what it sounds like, because once I get that, everything will be great, and whatever it is I'm doing, and I become humble. I don't sit there and go, I'm the man and this and that. I
Yeah.
just become at one and remove your thought. There's two types of people in the world. You got intelligent people and you have aware people. And intelligence is good to a certain point,
To a certain degree.
but it's a killer. When you're aware, there's enough self-love that everything matters in front of you.
Yeah, with intellectuals struggle with being someone who considers himself an intellectual is to keep the balance between understanding that you don't know everything,
Right.
even though you seek to know many things, having enough humility of knowing and learning from different individuals
Yeah, man.
to carve out your intellect. But a lot of intellects feel like they're so smart that they literally, is what the Bible say, knowledge puffeth up, which, like, you get so smart, you get big-headed thinking you know everything and you don't have any room to receive any information.
Right.
So that's what you have to really, for those of us who consider ourselves intellectuals, that is a pitfall of you get too big-headed and you think you know everything. So, just stay humble and understand you got to continue to search.
And that's by design, so that we can't create. If everything is if everything is for you to think can't, don't, and won't, how you supposed to create? If someone told me long ago, oh, you can't read music, you'll never be able to play a guitar. And I felt it, I thought about it, like, wait a second, didn't Ray Charles play a piano? He couldn't see it. So I'm like, no, that's not true. So at that moment, I knew what you said. If, like, the government does one side, there's the other side. So that's the spiritual side. I said, wait a second, let me learn life from this side that people aren't looking at. That's actually real.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Yes.
We loved having you
I
here
appreciate
today.
it.
Before we get out of here, I just want to allow you to let people who have heard you today find where they can find you, whether that's IG, YouTube.
They could go to my G Illish Instagram. They can go to YouTube. Keep in mind, I just put that stuff up. My main thing, people, is that I'm having a mixing and mastering company. That my slogan is, I don't mix genres, I mix music. And so I'm really just at that starting end, and just really closing the book on the profession. Hopefully I get to work with these great people and we get to do some great things, even though, audio jumped in, but Q's quiet and she's looking at me with one eye open.
No,
Right.
No, she likes to kind of stay in the background. I'm gonna kind of get on to start showing her personality more often, but she likes to kind of sit in the back. You got something for us, Q?
Now you gotta say her name.
I just came on stage because I felt like I was being called out. But no, I just like to sit and listen. Really, like, that's my thing, to get to know a person through just listening, because people will tell you exactly who they are. So I really enjoyed this interview and your music. Like,
I appreciate it, Q.
I think you bring an element that we don't hear anymore when it comes to music, when it comes to the transitions and having bridges and really tight backgrounds and stuff. Like, most of the time now, songs are 2 minutes long. So I really enjoy listening to a musician who actually plays and feels and brings all of that to the table.
I appreciate it. Thank you. What was you going to say, Audio? Uh-oh.
He'll be back.
No, I was gonna say her name 3 times like Candy, man.
Nah, man. I seen a movie I shouldn't have when I. You remember The Exorcist, the original?
Yeah.
Yes.
I gotta call myself out. I saw that. I snuck into a movie theater with my friends. I was trouble. I slept on my mother's floor until I got to high school. I didn't care. Until I got to high school, I was on the floor. The lights were on until I graduated high school, and I was playing football and hurting people, but nobody knew. Like, oh shoot, man, I gotta go home.
Right.
That movie did me in.
Oh man. But
Yeah,
no,
that's
I
my
think
favorite
we
stuff.
definitely gonna carve out and continue to build with each other, man. You've
Yeah, man.
been a honor to have, and to be honest, like the first guest that we've had on Mix Squad TV podcast, and I can guarantee you
I
this
appreciate
won't be the last time you're on here, bro.
I appreciate it, man. And I look forward to working with you guys and learning. I think that's my best attribute is that I'm so humble that I want it all. That's why I'm calling out audio and cue. What can I hear? What can I take? Can I get a color? Can I get a bass? Oh shoot, I just rhymed. Oh Lord. So my mind is always working musically.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah. I
Man, it was
appreciate you
love.
guys.
It was absolutely love. We're gonna go ahead and end the stream, but if you want to hang out just for a second,
Oh
bro,
yeah, sure.
after the post here. But for those out there, this is Mix Squad TV podcast episode 1. Go to mixsquad.com to get anything from mixing consultations all the way to merch. We have a long list of services that we have available for you. Consider joining the squad where you could be a part of our in-house conversations and our mixing information and critique. So the QR code is on the screen as it was put there. If you use your phone right now, it will take you directly to our website. Outside of that, Mix Squad family and the squad family out there on YouTube and Instagram, we are out, and we will see you on Thursday for Taking Thursday Back. We out. Peace.
Yo, man, you running some good stuff, man. This is dope. How the thing pops up, y'all are like on top of your stuff, like music, man. It's just every corner is y'all got it. What is it? Cross your T's. That y'all got it
We
cornered.
trying, man.
This isn't trying. You got it cornered. Now you're just gonna multiply it, but you got it. So
For sure. Appreciate that.
I haven't seen this in a long. I've had so many different people want to talk to me, and then I listen to them talk, and I'm like, oh my god, But the passion and the way that you guys do this is like, it may sound weird, but it's like Disney, and I don't mean commercial. I mean,
Right.
if you remember when you were a little kid and you went to Disney, you get on a ride and you forget you're even in where you started. Like, oh my god, I'm in the movie. I mean,
Right.
that was the one thing I took from them. It was like down to the carvings and everything. Like, wow. So I'm like,
No,
that's
I will
deep, man.
actually add to that. Like it was a Disney cruise, and it was they had one of the places you eat at for the Disney cruise.
Right.
It would the walls would color themselves as you
That's
eat.
nuts. That's nuts.
Like all the characters from Beauty and the Beast, from
Yeah.
the Little Mermaid, all the Disney characters. It starts off as a wall that just has the outline of the character doing the
Crazy.
pose, and as you eat, you just see elements of the wall start to color itself in, and it just adds
It's
to.
crazy, man.
I mean, that's why they charging 15 G's to just get on the boat.
But they can though. It's
Right.
I mean, you guys have that down. There's one plugin that I didn't mind paying for. It was close to 600. It's called Superior Drummer.
Mm-hmm.
It's whatever they have done. They've taken drums and they have made it where if you were back in the day, they give you all the room mics, all the different room mics. They sample the drums. You're able to move the mics around, kick in, kick out. It's unbelievable. So I mean, you guys, the passion, that type of passion, I mean, that's what wins. I mean, coming from where I came from writing some hits, that passion